Here we've got a small selection of things that have been built. These little gnomes. These are flat on the back, and so they can sit up against the wall. They can get a little hook put in them to be a Christmas ornament, but he also stands up because he's actually got a profile. It looks like little Robin Hood. Here's a little bird. They're like a little flat plain bird, and this one I just put leather stain on the stick and the bird and everything. Here's a couple other versions of the bird. Trees. One more little stick gnome or wizard. Owls. This one's just leather stained, but they look really good when you can get eyes on them. Sadie painted him. He's all speckled. Little horned dwarf owl. And this guy. And here we've got this guy. This is one of my early figures before I put wrinkles in the pants and everything. So this is like a really, really early figure. Like I had just kind of picked up carving, and I picked this up and made this. It looks kind of like a king. More recent, I've gotten better at the carving, and so this guy is a little more articulated. He's got wrinkles in his pants, and he's got a stance to him. He's got this fun hat. Carve one of these guys. I'll show you how I do it. And this video will try and not make it too long. I won't make him super perfect. But I'm making nativity scenes. And gonna put them up for sale on a local market or bazaar or something. And so anyway, if I'm going to do that, then I need to have one for display to sell. So I'm going to make a wise man, or maybe Joseph, for right here we've got a perfect little hazel stick. And usually I do this over top of this trash can, so some of my chips fall in the trash, and we'll see if that if you guys can see what I'm doing, or if it's not close enough. So first thing I do, if there's any knots, I just pluck them off with my knife. And this is a flex cut carving knife that my neighbor gave me, but I also I did it with a Stanley utility razor when I made my first snowman, and he didn't turn out particularly good, but I don't think it was the razor's fault. I think I could carve with a razor blade pretty good. I just really like the carving knife because I can keep sharpening it. But I'm just saying it, like, you don't need a really nice carving knife to be able to do this, is what I'm trying to say. A pocket knife that's good and sharp would probably get it done. Although it would be potentially dangerous with a blade that long and that sharp, like a pocket knife. But you know what I'm saying. I'll probably edit most of my talking out of this. Okay, so I slick the stick up, and it feels to me like the knife is the most dulled by cutting this bark. So after I slick the bark is when I strop my knife before I start carving one. Razor sharp, and I'll just start going by starting. I always start at one end and work down. And the guy that I watched to learn how to do this whole thing is called Doug Linker. And he's way better at carving than me, and has some really good tutorials and methods. But some of his methods just don't jive with me personally. And it's not like it's a bad method. It just doesn't work for my brain. So I start at one end and just go down, usually, is how I do. So I'll start at his hat. And since he's a wise man, he shouldn't have a pointy hat. I think he should have a round hat. One of the techniques I use is to put my knife on my chest and pull the piece through the knife so I can generate a ton of power towards my cut, but be cutting away from stuff. And the most that ever happens is your knife stays on your chest and your whole body safely moves. So it's a pretty safe method. But don't cut yourselves, guys. Okay, so I round off his hat. See that? Okay, and then you see what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a notch. And this notch, see this notch? It's going to go all the way around his head. It's going to be where his head goes into his hat. Okay, so there's that notch. It looks like a little turtle shell. Well, that's just going to be his hat. So now I will go to where I choose. I think I like this highest point here, where my thumb is. I need to hold this in the center. I think I like this highest point here to be his eyebrows and nose. So I'm just going to come right down from where I was, and I'm going to carve in some eyebrows, and because he's got a kind of high hat, so there's room for eyebrows. So I'm going to carve in some eyebrows and a nose, and I'll show you what that looks like. You just make a notch and a couple chips, and he'll have eyebrows and a nose. I'll show you. Okay, you see that notch? See what shape it is against my shirt, probably. See? Just like a little whistle notch. That's an eyebrow. I'll make another one. Okay, now there's two eyebrows. Now I've got to pull a notch up between his eyebrows. So here I make a cut along his hat. And then I peel a line to the cut. And then I peel another line to a cut. They call that a chip cut because every time you finish it, if you do it right, this little perfectly formed little chip falls out. See, but now that I've removed this chip, see, now there's a gap between his eyebrows and a little shadow in his forehead back there. And I'll carve back to that flat spot. It's not even carving, it's just whittling, like lots of whittling. So I just carve in towards his hat, and then I just clip it off at his hat. See, I carve in, and that chip didn't fall out, that little shaving. Boink, so I just clip it off. See, now he's definitely got eyebrows. See how they've got a like a shape to them. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a nose. So I'm gonna make a notch and then cut a couple chips out under the eyebrows. You'll see that. So I'll make a notch to be his nose. And for old men, I like it to be pretty wide because the little guys, they look older if you give them bigger noses, kind of. Okay, so now I'll make a couple cuts down, pretty much from the corner of the eyebrows down. Corner of the eyebrows down. See, that's both notches. Okay, then I come into the eyebrows, and this is going to be like a deep eye face thing that I make. So I come down and cut deep along the eyebrows, and then you make this little cut. And the chip just pulls clean. And you've got a deep shadowed eyebrow. I'll do it on both sides. And I do it twice, so that way there's one big chip that makes a plane, and then a second chip that makes a shadow up in there. And then I just kind of clean off whatever. There's like some whiskers hanging, because this is just hazelwood out of like alongside the road. So it's not like a really clean wood to carve, not like basswood. But it's fun. And you just clean up all your cuts good, and they look fine. So now, see, I've given him up under them eyes. See, now he's got eyes and a nose and eyebrows. Already shaped, like they're shaped pretty good. So now I'll just trim up the nose shape, and then we'll start giving him a beard. Okay, now his nose is trimmed up. Looks more like a nose. Now we'll give him a beard. So I'll cut an outline of his mustache, and then that'll put a line on his face. And it'll be the top of his mustache and the bottom of his face. We'll cut in pretty deep, so that way it'll look like his face is deep in set. Like his mustache is tall. And I just go right to the corner of the nose with those. And if you need to come along the nose to clean it up or to make the chip come out, do that. So corner of the nose, quartering down. I try and make both sides the same as much as possible, but I'm not good at keeping both sides the same. Like, they're not the same. And I think that it makes them look better. I really think it makes them look super cool. And like, that might just be an opinion, because I think that the guys who make super symmetrical ones, like, I think their little guys look cool too. But when you're not good at keeping them symmetrical, they look super cool also. How deep that got and how much that side of his face got cut off. See, it's crazy deep right there, and all I did was made a line and then cut to it. But the grain is peeling right there. So it peeled off that whole side of his face. Well, now I just know that's how deep his face is going to be. It's going to have kind of a sunk in face to his mustache. So I'll do that the other side now. Bring right there, see? Face is thick and bare. His face is shaved and gone. See? Okay, so now he's got both sides in. That side. So now I'll give him mouth, bottom of his mustache. For that, I just take and cut an angle where I think it's going to look good. Below his nose. Cut an angle like that. Come in from the other side. I cut an angle like that. And then if they aren't matching, then I'll move them up and connect them. and then I take and carve in a chip, and it should just come right out. I'm wiggling the knife and applying some pressure so that way I don't got to push and horse on it really hard, so that way I don't slip off and lay my finger open on camera. So there, now he's got a mouth. See? Old wise man, the mouth and the beard. So I'm going to have to carve a little bit more bark and give him a big, long, I think he should have a square beard. I'm going to give him a long, square beard. Okay, so now he has a full, big, old square beard. Now the only thing left is to shave down his face and decide how big of a haircut to give him. I think his hair should be coming kind of off of his eyebrow there. So we're going to give him wide hair. Make a cut along his cheek from his eyebrow down to his cheek. And then I'm going to make a cut so I can get a chip out. And I'm going to gently carve down his cheek to where his hair will now intersect with his beard. See, now his hair is running down his cheek from his eyebrow and intersecting the beard there. And right where the hair intersects the beard, you need to remove a chip on the top and a chip on the bottom. Where it touches the beard, and just peel a big, big chip out of there. Boink. See, it falls right out. Chip. See, and then there's a shadow under his beard and hair. His neck goes. Same thing, other side. Corner of the hair and beard. Corner of the beard. And probably thumb it. We'll thumb a big old chip up out of there. Pretty big chip. Pretty icky spot for it, right on top of that knot. Smoothed it off though. He is able to smooth it off. So, chip. See, it goes deep in there, that chip, so that way there's a shadow under his neck. So anyway, he's pretty much almost done. I need to frame his face in his hair on the other side. Okay, now his hair is framed on his face on the other side. And that's one wise man. That's how you do him. And I just take watercolor to him. I would paint his hair like light gray, and then his beard dark gray, and his eyebrows the same color as his beard. Color his hat. Put dots for his eyes, and you got yourself a wise man. I'll round up his hat a little more. You guys can check it out. There we go. Got a nice little round hat. It's got a little texture to it, so it looks like it slopes in a little. Got ourselves a wise man. Okay, he's not dry yet, but there. Now he's a person. A little gray beard, gray eyebrows, gray hair, simple hat. There's one wise man. 2 more of those, a Joseph, a Mary, a baby Jesus, a star, a lamb, and a shepherd, and you got yourself a nativity scene.
Okay. So, anyway, you guys saw me make that wise man. And so I made another wise man, Joseph, Mary, baby Jesus, if it'll focus on him. A tiny baby, painted with a white sheet on him, white linen. Tiny baby. A little lamb. And Star Bethlehem. So there you go. Little nativity scene. There it is. You can get a closer look at him. There's Mary with her giant lips saying, "Hey, it's a girl."